Hey YouTube, we are back. Welcome to part 8. Going to start painting the UCM stuff, as you can see here in the airbrush booth. Kind of having trouble with colors I want to do. I think I'm going to do the Model Air Olive Drab. That's this right here. It's almost got a little bit of brown in it, obviously olive. And then the other one I was looking at is US Dark Green, and this a model color. It's not a airbrush paint, but I can thin that out really easily. And I'm just having a hard time thinking what I want on this. I'm going to put that down there. And let's see, let's grab the manual from Dropzone. And it almost feels like those have a little brown in them. And then go in with a little highlight, like a desert yellow, mix it with that. I think that'll be a good mix. So we're going to go with the olive drab. And I'm going to mix a little bit up in, I'm going to thin it out though, even with this stuff. Let's see here. I'm using a little bit of, I'm doing this off camera, but this is what I'm showing what I'm putting in. A couple drops of the Liquitex varnish. Whoa, that was a mess. Let's see how that works. I'll be back in a second. I have a little spill. Okay, we are back. So like I said, I'm going with the olive drab from Vallejo Model Air. Let's do the APCs by themselves at first. I'm using the Badger Patriot 105 for my go-to brush. Use the medicine cup as I usually do, and you can see how we mix the paint. How it's barely holding on. I might do a tutorial on paint thinning. I'm starting to get the hang of it. And I'm really not filling the cup all that much. It's a waste of time and a pain in the ass to clean your brush. And then do a couple test squirts. Nice. Just go back and forth. And these are going to be really light coats at first. I'm going to go over each side of the vehicle as like an assembly line painting. We're going to flip these over too, so we don't have to worry about getting all the paint in there. We got the backs, and then make sure you get those ribbings. Oh, went through the paint already. So there we go. That's our first coat. Come back to this side again where we start again. Make sure we got a... Yeah, I'm just checking out my hand. Just make sure you got a good even coat. We did a little bit of pre-shading with these, as you remember. That's a solid coat on those already. So I did that in 2 layers, I believe. We're going to do one more quick layer. So let's start at the beginning again from this side. Let's get some more paint going. Air first, then paint. I really want to make sure this is at a weird angle to these troop doors in the back. And just maybe bring these up like this real quick. A nice coat on top. And those are done. Nice. So I'm going to get through these and I will show you two with all the base coats. And then we'll go from there on these. We're getting close, or not close really, but getting through the Dropzone Commander starter set. Thank you for joining me. Hey YouTube, we're back. I want to just do a little bit of shading on these. I got some transparent golden shading gray. I love this stuff. Let's see if I can place them down in front of you. See, this is a nice little gray, and it's a transparent gray. So it's not going to cover the color too much. It's almost like instead of doing a pre-shading, you can come back and shade it again like that. Just want to get in little areas where it would be shaded, like I'm using a 0.2. That's probably not too much. I do not want to do that much on there. That'll be okay though. I can go back and clean that up. It's almost like spraying a really light ink. There we go. Nice. Getting it on the edge of these wings here. And underneath especially. Now underneath the vessel, kind of want it a little bit darker. Leave that tipped up, side down. Maybe do another little quick once over. Nice. Like one light there. Oh, out. Out. So I'm just going to come back and shade. Well, let me shade something else real quick before I let you go. Like the APCs, I just want to get underneath because you're not going to see any of this stuff, and you're just going to add a little bit of a character. Darken up a little bit, maybe on the bottom of the tank too. That area there just looks way too light for me. To the front, maybe there. Just add a little shadow to it. And like these tanks, I want to get underneath a little bit, and maybe inside these little areas here between the treads. Just add a little interest everywhere. So I'm going to get this finished. I'll come back and show it to you. Thanks. Okay, we're back. I did a little bit of the shading with that gray, and here's what it looks like. Just kind of went in to the wing and the engine areas. Then underneath, as you saw in the tanks, just into the tread areas to give some darkness under there and underneath. You're not going to see underneath anyways, but just, you know, something to practice. The APCs, I went really in the back too to give it a lot of shade. So it's got a weird angle, not a weird angle, it's just a dropped angle where the ramp would drop out. And then I shaded underneath there and went a little bit around the wheels, not too much. Right now I'm going to do a little highlighting, and I got this about 2 parts olive drab to 1 part ochre, or ochre, or whatever you want to call it, ochre. And this is the color we came up with. It's just slightly lighter. Got it in the XGI right here. And I'm going to run it on top of these a little bit. You have these big areas, I mean, equivalent to the other things. I just want to get a little bit of color going. It's going to be very lightly done. So I just kind of spine here. It's not going to pick up very much, but just a little bit of color variation, and maybe on top of the clamps and these engines. It's a really, really light highlight. Put my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. See, very little variation, but we're going to go in probably with the ochre and do the highlighting, the hard edge highlighting with it. And come back, and I probably can have very little in the brush itself. We're probably finish the whole thing with that. Or the whole ship. We can keep this on camera. Because right there, the spine there, and right above the cockpit. And let's touch these engine areas a little bit. And we really don't have anything with those grippers there. Let's do this one, same thing. Get it around the right direction. Just highlight that big area there. The spine again. And the engines. The tank gripper there and there. And just maybe highlight the very tops of these. Just really simply go back and forth of those. Very subtle, but this adds something a little to it. And then the tanks, we know we have a little bit on the turret there, and maybe it's right along those edges. On that one's back into the turret. And I'm going to finish the rest of these off camera, and I'll show them to you. Thanks. Okay, we are back. We'll finish up part 8 here. This is the base coatings. As you can see, I also went back in with that shading gray from Golden Transparent. Let me show you the bottle real quick again. I really love this stuff. Keep this in my toolkit. It's a really nice thing to have. It's a transparent gray, and I really like how I just want to add some pop to these things. So the highlight is very, very subtle. You can kind of see, I went over it again. So it's just over these major panels. You'll see that. Then we're going to do hard edge highlighting, probably with the ochre, just to really make them stand out. And we're going to go in with a black oil wash to get all the panel lines. And in part 9, we'll be going in and doing all the metallics. So this whole spine under here will be all metallics. There'll be pieces all through there. I'm going to attempt to paint the little dude in the cockpit and see if I can use some liquid mask and paint the cockpit so you can actually see in this thing. That'd be kind of cool. If I can't, I'll just do it like the box art and do the cool like blackish blue gem effect. And let's see what else. I did a little bit of shading on the tanks. You can see underneath, right against that, I guess a gunnel or whatever that is, just to break up the monotony of the color. But also, as we do the hard edge highlighting, that's going to help tremendously too. And with these guys, just did a highlight over the whole edge and went in there with the shading gray again, just to get some darkness under there, and obviously dark under there. It's that gray's got a really gloss finish to it. So obviously, you know, we're going to hit it with some dull coat later, and it'll bring it all back down and looking very militaristic. So thank you for joining me in part 8 in the Dropzone Commander 2-player box set. And we'll see you in the next video in part 9. We'll start throwing metallics on these things with a brush. Thanks for joining me.